Hey, project leaders, welcome back to my channel. If you have ever had a project fail because nobody told me, then you know the power of bad communication. Today, we are breaking down the PMP communications management, the essential process for ensuring the right information gets to the right people at right time. So let's dive right into it. So now communications management is all about structure. It's handled by three core processes, the three C's, what we call plan communications management, manage communications, and monitor communications. Now, by now, you already know what does planning communication management mean. It's the what and hows, how you're going to manage the communication throughout the project. So this is where you determine the stakeholders' information needs and define the communication approaches, including the specific format and content that will be offered. What format, what frequency and method will we use to communicate with the stakeholders. So that everything will fall under plan communications management. Manage communications. How do you manage communications? It's the doing. This is the execution phase. Actually creating the distributing, storing, retrieving, and disposing the project information. And lastly, we have monitor communications phase. That is the checkpoint. This is all about ensuring the communication you plan is actually effective, or if it is ineffective. Are the stakeholders receiving and understanding the message clearly and correctly or not? So that is monitoring communication. This is the key PMP distinction: efficient communication and effective communication. There is a difference between efficient communication and effective communication. You might have faced you in your projects as well. Efficient communication is nothing but using the least amount of resources. For example, sending a mass email. It saves your time, a ton of time, right? Isn't it? And effective communication. It ensures the message is understood. For example, a face-to-face meeting where you can read somebody's body language or mind, understand that if the person understood the message or they haven't understood it, right? So it ensures their time isn't wasted, or our time. Anything. Effective communication is making sure the other person has understood your message, what you have meant. Because one thing can mean a lot of different things. So make sure what you want is effectively communicated. We strive for communication that is both effective and efficient. But if you have to choose effective. The big trap in communication planning is complexity. Let's look at the math you absolutely must know for your exam. This is PMP's one of the most favorite questions to be asked, the communication channels question. They usually ask to solve such kind of questions. They'll give numbers and they'll ask you to solve the question. The complexity of your project's communication environment can be calculated. So you must calculate the total potential channels in the planning stage itself. So the formula you can see is n into n minus 1 by 2, where n is the total number of stakeholders plus the project manager. For example, if you have 5 people, so n is equal to 5, you have 10 channels. If you add just one more person, you jump to 15 channels. Do the math. This is a huge increase. If let's say n is 5, 5 into 5 minus 1 is 4, 4 into 5 is 20, 20 by 2 is 10. Right? Now just change n from 5 to 6. If you just add one more person, let's say n is 6. Now 6 into 5 is 30, 30 by 2 is 15. So 5 more communication channels you'll need. So note down for your exam, this is, and this might, there are high chances that you will receive a question on this. Now, communication is a cycle. Let's look at different communication methods. Now, communication is a cycle and the process is broken down into steps. But we must account for noise. Noise is anything that interferes with the message being successfully decoded by the receiver. This could be bad cell signal, or language barrier, or even cultural differences. Our job is to minimize noise at every step. Now we know the complexity. How do we choose the right delivery options? You can either do interactive communication, push communication, or pull communication. Interactive communication, that's one of the best methods, I would say. It's multi-directional exchange where the participants talk in real time, they exchange ideas with one another. It's real time. You can see that in face-to-face meetings or phone calls, video conferences, where multiple people are there and you discuss ideas. And that is multi-directional. It is the best method for building consensus, resolving conflict, and confirming understanding because it provides instant feedback. When you talk to one another, you will receive instant feedback. Versus the other communication methods, push and pull, you don't get that instant and direct feedback. So let's look at what is push communication. Information sent to specific recipients without requiring immediate feedback. The sender is responsible for ensuring the information is sent. For example, memos, reports, emails, and press conferences. That's a push communication. You give out the information to the public or to somebody, right? That is pushing the communication. For information that must be received, like a mandatory safety updates or meeting minutes or something, right? While the pull communication is kind of a repository, the recipient accesses the information at their own leisure. The sender is responsible for storing and organizing the information. For example, intranet sites, websites, SharePoints, lessons learned repository. For large volumes of information or general documents that stakeholder needs to access on demand, right? So on demand, if you need the information, this is the best tool. Otherwise, interactive communication is always the best tool. And most of your questions would be around, would you do interactive communication or would you do passive communication? That would be asked indirectly. It won't be asked directly, but please note they are hinting you towards the interactive communication, collaborative communication, face-to-face, where you get instant feedback. That's the best way a project manager can tackle any situation, especially for the exam point of view. Now, let's look at what is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is very much trending and it is very much important for any project manager, in fact, any lead. So let's watch a quick video from a very famous series, The Big Bang Theory. I'm assuming all of you have seen this series and you know how Sheldon is and how his emotional intelligence is. So I'm sure you'll enjoy the video. If you have not watched any of the episodes, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And whoever has already seen the series, you know what I'm talking about. So let's watch it.
Well, what I meant was, I often misinterpret how others are feeling. Like, I can't always tell if someone is only joking or laughing at me. You know, like if they're mad at something I've done or just in a bad mood. It's incredibly stressful.
Really? You always seem so confident.
Well, I'm not. And if I could read people's minds, life would be so much simpler.
Well, now I wish I had the ability to make that stuff easier for you.
Well, thank you.
All right. So did you see how Sheldon is a bit awkward? So what I'm trying to say here is the best communication plan in the world is useless without emotional intelligence, or EQ. This is your ability to recognize and understand emotions in yourself and others and manage your relationships effectively. We use interpersonal and team styles assessment to understand how people prefer to communicate. Then we account for 3 layers of nonverbal influences. So let's look at what are those nonverbal influences. One is paralingual, another one is body language, and third one is cultural difference. The first two you could see in the video about the paralingual, probably the most effective or the most which caught my eyes is Sheldon's body language and the way he said it. Isn't it? I'm sure everybody felt the same. So now what is paralingual? Paralingual refers to how you speak, your tone, the pitch, and the inflection. You might say one thing, but your tone conveys another. So that's a mismatch, isn't it? So that's what you might have felt while watching Sheldon's video. Next is body language. We often forget that roughly 55% of communication is body language. Only 7% is the literal words you speak. And finally, the cultural differences. We must always consider cultural awareness and the differences in languages, manners, and hierarchy when managing a global team. It is very important for a global leader or a manager. You consider a few things like political awareness. You should be aware of the political things, understanding when to speak, when to say, when not to say. Understanding the formal and informal power structures within your organization is crucial for deciding who needs to hear what and when. So look out for those cues. Keep your eyes and ears open. Good communication is built on a feedback loop. We need to ensure we are listening and actively soliciting feedback to confirm that the message has been decoded correctly. Again, remember effective and efficient communication. Finally, let's look at the key output of our work, the project data, and how we ensure our plan is actually successful. All the decisions we have discussed are documented in the communications management plan. This is the definitive blueprint of all project communication. We manage project status through a strict data flow: work performance data, work performance information, and work performance reports. Right? This is the raw data. Work performance data is the raw data, the factual numbers like 5 tasks completed or 10 hours spent on this task. That is just pure raw data. While work performance information is built upon it. This is the processed and analyzed version of work performance data. This is where we say we completed 5 tasks, which means we are 10% behind schedule. And finally, we have the most refined version, that is work performance reports. This is the final structured report based on work performance information, WPI, ready for distribution to stakeholders. Remember, the final process is monitoring, that is the check. The purpose here is to ensure the plan communications are satisfying stakeholder needs. Stakeholder engagement assessment is if we identify unsupportive stakeholders, which we have learned in the stakeholder management video, where stakeholders, how to manage those unsupportive stakeholders. So if we identify unsupportive stakeholders or find the key recipients are missing information, we perform an engagement assessment. Then we identify the gaps. We identify the gaps between the current engagement level and the desired level. This may require more information, a change in communication style, or a formal change request to adapt the communications management plan. So there we have it. Mastering communication is mastering your project. Calculate your channels using the formula n into n minus 1 by 2. Select the right method, interactive, pull, push communication method, and never forget the power of emotional intelligence and paralingual skills. We don't want to sound like Sheldon in the video. So hit that like button if the breakdown helped you solidify the communications management knowledge. So next time, I'll see you with another amazing topic of project management. Until then, see you. Bye-bye.